I'm here to tell you, you're doing it wrong. If you're a new real estate agent, I will bet you're trying all the conventional wisdom stuff. You're doing social media, you're probably going to networking events, I'm sure, right? And you're trying to throw some money at ads. Makes perfect sense. But it's a little change in attitude that can make a huge difference here. I'll give you an example. I've got a colleague, he was at a trade show, he was going up to prospects and asking them, how do they manage their Google reviews? Simple question, but it put people on the defensive. I talked to him for a little bit about it because we were selling a review kit that helps boost reviews. And I said, look, don't ask them that. Don't ask them what they're doing, how they're doing. Don't put the pressure on them. Instead, talk about their needs. How do their customers review them? That subtle shift changed his position from a sales rep to a consultant, somebody that's going to actually educate you, walk you through the process, have a dialogue. Instead of asking a question about you, what if you ask them a question for them? What's a challenge they see in buying this house or buying any house? Do they have questions about the real estate process? Are they aware of what's going on in the current market? These are questions that are actually driving their decision and are built to help them, not you. And at the end of the day, you don't want to be an unpaid consultant. What you want to do is you want to close a deal because that's how you're going to make money. That's how the incentives are set up. But that's not what generates business. It's not what makes a great experience. And the realtors that are really good, they don't worry about the transaction. They don't worry about all, because they're experts. They know those things. That's why they have their license. That's why their license is so that they know how to put into the contract, the earnest money is X and the option period is Y. They can do that. They also know that the game for realty is not about any given transaction. So they're not concerned about closing something right then and there. They want you to close, obviously, and they want you, but it's got to be the right thing. They talk to their customers, they talk to their clients, they figure out where they are, and then they put on this hat of being a guide or an advisor and actually guiding the customer through the process. By and large, I feel like I'm a fairly sophisticated real estate buyer. I know what I want, I go do research. I'd put more research into my house than my computer, which is totally bizarre. Most people don't do that. I spent a lot of time figuring out what it is that I want. I'm very particular about how my house is laid out, and I think about what we can change. And there are still times where I get to that point where I need a realtor to tell me it's okay to go ahead and buy this thing. It can be overwhelming. I can get totally scared about the idea that I'm making the wrong thing. That bedroom configuration is going to totally screw me. But having that guide there, having the realtor say, well, over time, you can change this, you can paint that. That won't really be an issue. Gives me permission to let go of some of that stuff and actually make a decision. How do you prepare yourself to become the advisor for somebody making this lifetime decision? Well, first, let's look at what they're actually doing. People are staying in homes longer than they ever have before. The average used to be 7 years, just 7 years being in a home. Today, it's 13. And that's because people are locked into low interest rates. There's tons of home improvements that they can do. There's a rising cost of interest rates. And people want to be where they are. And moving laterally isn't necessarily as exciting for people and not as common. So how do you become a trusted advisor with somebody you just met? Having expertise, having the ability to listen, and of course, actually being trustworthy. Let's talk about how that happens. Expertise is actually the easiest part. You can prepare for that any day. Go read the MLS listings. Figure out what's happening in the economy. Figure out what's happening in that market. That's actually easy step. You can do that on your own, not a problem. The ability to listen, that takes time. You really have to understand that customer. Make sure you're thinking about them when you're asking questions, not about what you want. And the third, to become a trusted advisor, you have to be trustworthy. How does that happen? Familiarity breeds trustworthiness. If I've seen somebody's visage all over grocery stores, all over signs, on the internet, I feel like, hey, this person has some legitimacy. They have some gravitas. If it's a person I've never seen before and they pop up, I've never heard of their real estate agency, I've never heard of them, I don't have a picture, it's really hard to establish that. Why does every business have a website? It's to get you to get familiar with the business before you go there. Familiarity can come from any number of ways. The best way is word of mouth. I mean, talk about free advertising. So referrals are absolutely the best way to get that familiarity. The next best way is to just be there. Plaster your face everywhere. That's why real estate agents love having their face on a sign. It's not because they're trying to prove anything, it's because they want everybody to think, Cindy Campbell, I've seen her, right? And as soon as you say, I've seen her, her trust level has just moved up. That's where you need to be. So number one, it's hard being a new agent, and it's gonna take time to build the referral network that you need. Two, you gotta shift your perspective from your needs to your customers' needs. Step three, make sure you are advising and guiding your customers. Make sure that you are giving them the information they need and empowering them to make the decision that's best for them. And step four is take the right marketing steps. They're pretty straightforward. Get your name out there, build your familiarity, and become a local celebrity.